The day after the September 11th tragedy, then New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani encouraged New Yorkers to keep calm and carry on, to try and live a normal life, even go shopping.
Advice that I would give to people today, if they're home from work, is to go about a normal day. Take the day as an opportunity to go shopping, be with your children, do things, get out.
And now, 15 years later, a massive shopping mall has risen, quite literally, from the ashes. The Oculus is the centerpiece of the new $4 billion World Trade Center transportation hub, which replaces the one destroyed in the terrorist attacks. Designed by architect Santiago Calatrava, it's the third largest transport center in New York City. And the adjacent mall, in its pristine marble glory, recently opened to the public.
The Oculus is beautiful.
Very nice, very great, unbelievable.
I think it's beautiful. How could you not like it?
The shopping center, operated by Westfield Corporation, currently has more than 100 stores, ranging from Apple to Hugo Boss, with some 32,000 square meters dedicated to retail. Some have taken offense to the emphasis on retail, saying there isn't much here to indicate it's built on consecrated ground.
I didn't get the connection between 9/11 and this structure.
I don't really think there is anything about the centre that would indicate to me as a tourist in New York that it is on sacred ground, but I'm not offended by it.
Most see it as a symbol of renewal.
Obviously, this is not a memorial to September 11th, but it does capture New York spirit in the sense that even though, and I'll say it in sort of a New York way, we can take a punch to the gut and still get up and keep thriving.
The USA rebuilding and making, business again prosperous in an area that was totally destroyed. I think it's wonderful.
The impressive glass and steel structure was intended to look like a dove in flight, but that seems to be open to interpretation.
It kind of looks like a rib cage.
The ribs of some kind of a fish, perhaps a whale.
I thought it looked like a dinosaur-like skeleton.
It almost reminded me of the crown of the Statue of Liberty.
However, there is no debate that it is indeed spectacular in the truest sense of the word.
As soon as we stepped out of the subway and started walking down the street towards the new World Trade Center Ground Zero area, the first thing that I saw, besides the Freedom Tower, Oh, I'm sorry, One World Trade Center. Someone corrected me in the last video and said that it's actually One World Trade Center. Well, it's always been One World Trade Center, but they also dubbed it Freedom Tower, and now they say it's formerly called the Freedom Tower. Please. All right, they already said it was Freedom Tower, and they called it that for a long enough time that it stuck in everyone's mind. They can't just go, oh, now we change it to the Bob Tower. No, I'm sorry. You already called it Freedom Tower, and you already promoted that long enough to stick in the collective consciousness of people for years. So you can't just go back and change it now and act like that was never called that. No, it was, and it pretty much still is in most people's point of view. That's the nickname for it, and it probably always will be. So let's all get semantical and technical about it, okay? Because that really matters. Moving on, however, when we first walked up on Oculus, the new World Trade Center transportation hub, I was pretty horrified. You can ask Aaron. I couldn't stop talking about that, and I almost didn't want to even go over to the Ground Zero area for a while because I was fixated on how horrified I was by this bone structure. It looks like it's out of Lion King or something, hovering over that area. And when the guard told us it was supposed to be a dove of peace, I actually laughed in his face because I was just like, you gotta be kidding me that they're actually trying to tell people that. And they are trying to go with this whole bird in flight language that they use in some of the articles about it, which I'm about to show you, but it's not a bird. Quite obvious. They called it Oculus. What does Oculus mean? Eye. Okay? It's not a bird. And if you look up this guy, my friend Jennifer Nielsen off Facebook sent me a bunch of pictures. If you look up this guy who designed it, Santiago Calatrava, he's pretty well obsessed with eyeball structures. This is the City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia, Spain. This is one of the buildings there. And this is the drawing that when he was sketching it out, obviously. I mean, it looks like the CBS logo. This is the new building that's currently being built at the Florida Polytechnic University, the Innovation Science and Technology building. They're going to put water around that. Clearly, I mean, what is this? There's no other way to take it. I mean, look at it as it's being built. These are the construction photos. It's an eyeball. Well, not only is Oculus at World Trade Center an eyeball, it's meant to open. It gives me the chills to talk about it. Okay, so initially it was meant to open all the time, but they're not going to do that anymore. What they've decided now is that the skylight of Oculus, the closed eye they have put over Ground Zero, is going to open once every year on September 11th. But get this, you guys. It's not going to stay open for the whole day. It's only going to stay open for exactly 102 minutes on each September 11th, because that is how long the 2001 terrorist attack lasted from the time the first jetliner hit the Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. until the collapse of the second tower at 10:28 a.m. So every year for 102 minutes, the eye of Oculus will open at Ground Zero. Think about that for a minute. Just take that in. Living, breathing building. That's what they refer to it as, a living, moving building. It's a living creature, it's evolving, it's morphing because it's receiving a skin. That's how they talk about this Oculus building. Mr. Heintage said his biology analogy was not intended to echo Mr. Calatrava's organic conception of Oculus, but it seems safe to guess the architect would be pleased to hear that his building moved. He always said that it would. So that's how they talk about this thing, like it's living, like it's alive. And look at what Mr. Calatrava said at one of the annual remembrances. In all weather conditions, the public will experience a subtle sense of man's vulnerability while maintaining a link to a higher order. The memory of the victims will be honored and explicitly expressed through the most symbolic and significant element of the project, allowing people to spontaneously gather with a sense of transcendence and elevation. It's not a bird. I'm just saying it's not a bird. And all of these buildings are way over budget, and they know it. But that's not what this is about. I mean, it cost $4 billion just to build the not Freedom Tower, One World Trade Center, formerly the Freedom Tower, that everyone will always remember as being the Freedom Tower. Even if it garners $120 million in rent a year from the businesses inside it, it would still take 35 years to recoup the cost of construction. But as one worker on the site says, that's hardly the point. Quote, "This building wasn't built to make money. It was built to demonstrate something to the world."
There is a legend of a secret order born in ancient Egypt called the Eye. It is said they perfected sleight of hand to steal food from the pharaohs and give it to the slaves. Their purpose? Using magic and delusion to even the scales of justice.
I got nothing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the delay.
I'm just trying to create the space for wisdom.
Okay, so you're like Buddha, if he wasn't so enlightened.
Oh, and you're like Jesus if he was arrogant and all of his miracles were fake.
Who do you think did this?
I don't know, but I really want to meet them. It's a show.
What is magic? Our argument, nothing but targeted deception. So I want you to look. Look as closely as possible.
Because the tricks you are about to see may not seem connected, but we assure you they are.
Is what follows 100 different tricks? Or is it one giant illusion? Thank you, everyone. We are the Four Horsemen.
Good night.
Good night.
FBI! Hands where I can see him. Let's go. Get him up. Come on. Let's go. Get him up. Let's go. Get him up. Come on.
Sure, I can't interest you in a glass of wine.
No, thank you, sir. We're working.
I would take one.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing.
Red dye, palmed.
Is that how Jesus did it? That's incredible.
My guess is that they targeted a shipment of freshly minted money headed to the Frenchman's bank on board an armored truck. Which, of course, is just as hard to break into, unless you're already inside. Which, of course, is just as hard to break into, unless you're already inside.
I thought you said you were a desk agent. What is this? What's the Eye of Horus?
Oh, certainly nothing I want to get into tonight. You're dismissive enough about me when you're sober. Find your way back yourself.
So, what's this all about?
Supposedly, if you buy into it, the Eye are the keepers of real magic and the protectors of those who practice it.
Candidates for initiations must follow a series of commands with blind obedience.
According to these, they only take new people twice a century.
So what, the horsemen are doing these shows in order to get into this thing?
There he is. There he is.
So here's my new theory. The legend is that the Eye is everywhere, waiting for the truly great magicians to distinguish themselves from the mediocre ones.
The Eye isn't real.
Okay, then explain then. Who's behind all this?
I don't know who, but they had to have access to the warehouse. Planting the mirrors. Always a step ahead of me. And the FBI. Got past them not once, not twice, but consistently. Almost as if they were on the inside. You.
Oh my God. I did not see that coming. That's impossible.
No way. That was actually pretty good.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Eye.
And what this is, really, is just exposing this darkness to the light and using their own ways, their own methods to expose them. And by exposing them, they are manifest to the light. I have an understanding of how the Satan works in this world and just how pervasive and cunning the spirit of the devil is, man, and how he just lures and snares the flesh at every turn. So you got to be very vigilant. Remember, we see through glass darkly, though. Okay, so this stuff I'm showing you is just tangible. It's something you can literally look at yourself and say, wow, there really is a very, very dark and very sophisticated entity at work here that is not working to my benefit. And, you know, to think that this life, as long as you can go along to get along and not be affected by this darkness, you know, it's, first of all, that's never true. And second of all, this life is very short. You know what I mean? And there is an eternity beyond this. And, you know, you got to choose, you know, where you want to spend eternity. Okay? I personally choose Jesus Christ because he promises us the new Jerusalem, the new world, a world of righteousness and peace with no darkness in it. You understand? And, hey, that's where I'm going. But this is crazy, man. This is all new to me too. All just came to me within the last day. So I'm gonna try the best I can to show this to you, but they're having this, I call it a ritual because that's what it is, but it says experience symbolic way of light moment at World Trade Center Oculus on 9/11. Okay? Now, just real quick, the way of light, that is a blatant mocking of Christ, okay? This is a ritual. This is just a continuation of what I showed you before. It's that massive. This is just a giant ritual going on here, you guys. And I'm just going to lay out some more of it here for you as best I can. But on September 11th at exactly 10:28, the interior of the World Trade Center Oculus will be filled with natural light, a symbol of light shining through the darkness of tragedy, okay? Now, first of all, they post at 6:39. That's kind of crazy to me. Updated it at 7:01. An oculus. You need to know what an oculus is. And in plain English, it is an eye, okay? It's used in architecture, especially in apex of a dome. In archaeology, a design representing an eye, as on a funerary pottery found in megalithic tombs of Europe. The oculus, okay? So that's where this is taking place. And I will show you the actual oculus in New York City. That is this beautiful little structure right here. And that is the eye of the serpent. That's what it is. And at 10:28, which is 2018, okay, AM, the interior will be filled. And how will it be filled? The eye will open. Visitors to the World Trade Center Oculus on September 11th will have the chance to experience a symbolic moment in honor of those who died in the attacks nearly 2 decades ago, actually 17 years, still rebuilding at World Trade Center. Rebuilding. Remember this? We remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger. Okay? Next Tuesday, September 11th at exactly 10:28, 2018, the same time the North Tower fell during the attack. The same time the North Tower fell. Now, there's a lot that I want to show you guys and share with you guys. But you need to remember a lot of this stuff. And by visually seeing and understanding these things, You know, it gives you, I'm primarily talking to those of you who don't believe that there's a devil and that there's a God, and that God gave us a Savior to get us out of this pit, because that's what it's turning into. And there's no escaping this through men. It's Jesus and Jesus alone. So this is what happened at exactly 10:28 on 9/11. Okay? They demolished the North Tower of the World Trade Center, because that's what it was. It was a demo job. Okay? The same time they fell, the sun will shine through the oculus skylight, meaning this, the eye of the serpent. They call it a skylight. Okay? To illuminate the interior of the building in a natural glow, in a path referred to as the way of light. The sunlight will make its way across the floor. It will slowly open the eye along the exact axis of the building, meaning North Tower. The moment acts as a powerful symbol of light that continues to shine through the darkness. You see the upside downness here? We are shining the light on their darkness. These people are living in darkness. You understand? And when they designed this building following 9/11, the positioning of the oculus was very intentional to make this poignant moment possible every year. Now think about that, all right? Now there's a few things that we need to understand before I show you just a couple more things, right? The attacks, okay, we got to remember Flight 11 was the one that went into that North Tower that this ritual is so centered upon. It's centered upon the North Tower at 10:28, right? Flight 11 was the flight that hit the North Tower. Now, just bear with me here, but everybody's heard a lot of this. But Flight 11 had 11 crew members. It had 76 passengers, which is a 13, okay? Or 7 times 6 is a 42. Both numbers represent rebellion and the Antichrist spirit, right? Now, there were 47 minutes in total that left Logan Boston Airport and hit the tower, which is another 11. And these things go on and on and on. The point is just to illustrate the ritual behind it, a tangible thing that you can literally look at yourself and realize that there is no way that this is not a planned and contrived set of circumstances here. And let's never forget either. They always say never forget. Well, I say never forget the ones who perpetrated these things, okay? The actual flesh and blood that were behind these things. Do you understand? There is darkness coming upon this world, and you need to be right with God. You need to, I'm just telling you, don't forget these people, okay? God's not going to forget them either. But now I lost my place. Oh yeah, I was telling you about the 11s. And the fact that this is all falling on the Rosh Hashanah or Feast of Trumpets, you know, there's several names for it. Yom Teruah. And the fact that there's 3 different sounds blown for a total of 9 blasts repeated 11 times. 9/11. And I'm not going to fully get into the Israeli connection to 9/11, but just go look up the interview of the dancing Israelis, and that'll give you a lot to chew on, okay? The interview of the dancing Israelis and how they were there to document the event, okay? So this is known as the last Trump. Trump will be in Pennsylvania at the same time that the eye of the serpent will be opening. Okay? Now just bear with me because there's a lot to this. But I need you to understand one particular thing. And we were talking about the phi, right? We've gone through the phi. And now the phi and its relationship to the tetragrammaton. And I'm not going to get into the details, but that's essentially the unspeakable name of God, Yahweh, right? The Tetragrammaton, 26. And you need to understand this just because of what I'm going to show you. We have all these things going on. We have Trump in Pennsylvania. And I showed you a lot to do with that already, but this is pretty doggone interesting right here. All right? Now, the Oculus. Let me take some of these lines off of here so you can see here. Let's go to the Oculus, because the Eye of the Serpent will be opening here. And in my spirit, this is the giant altar right here. This whole scene has been made into a huge, gigantic, satanic altar, complete with groves and monuments and serpent eyes. So just remember the 26, because what I'm going to show you is pretty interesting. So we'll go directly from the Oculus, and we're going to go out to that tower where Trump is going to be, okay? The Tower of Voices, okay? And just understand what you're seeing here. Just try anyway. Notice how it's 260 miles at 261 degrees, okay? Now this is where Trump will be, and this is the Tower of Voices, and your 26, that I can't stress enough how much this means in this dark power and principality world. This is a ritual, a huge ritual. So there's your 26 twice, okay? Now I'm going to take you down to the Pentagon, because that's where the other plane hit, okay? And this is the Eye of the Serpent watching all this, remember. And I'm going to take you to their little monument here, okay? They have all these groves again, with these little chairs for each one that died and everything, okay? And notice the distance. 206 miles, okay? 26 at 232 degrees, okay? So you have 26, 26, 26 all over it. And just one last one I want to show you, and that's from this vain show of Lucifer's. And we'll go back out to the tower where Trump will be on 9/11, by which they are dedicating that today. Don't forget, this will be dedicated today. And I want you to look at the miles, okay? Pretty harmless, right? 128, although it is a 9/11. 8 and 1 is 9, 8, 2 and 1, 11. At 311 degrees, which I find extremely interesting all in and of itself. But when I was led to do this, you guys, this is just the way it works. 206 kilometers, 26. You just can't, you know what I mean. So again, we're looking at a ritual. I do not know how or when it will play out, but it's on. And this is just God showing us the time we're in. Satan is moving right along as God is moving, because that's what he does. He wants to counteract God. He wants to trick the people into thinking that they're not seeing the things of God. Do you understand? He sets up all his gatekeepers, his NASAs, and everybody's compartmentalized. Okay? This is how it works. There is a power in this world that will lead you to death if you do not know Jesus Christ. It's that simple. You're not going to hide from this. You're not going to run from it. And no man is going to save you from it. Jesus Christ. The only way. The only way. So, the Eye of the Serpent will be opening on 9/11. Crazy stuff, people. Seek Jesus with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, because he's at the door. Time is short. Peace and grace to y'all. Any fish.
brothers and sisters. Today is the 15th of May, the first day of the planetary alignment. And we are still no nearer to discovering the location of the key. It seems we are running out of time. Trust me.
My father would love to have seen this. Tonight, Pluto and Neptune align with Uranus. It's the first stage of the alignment of all 9 planets, culminating in a full solar eclipse. It only happens once every 5,000 years.
When is the exact alignment of planets necessary to activate the triangle only occurs once every 5,000 years. But that proved to be just long enough for little Lara Croft to grow up and to find it.
It's a clock. I found it last night. It was ticking.
Steaming sump oil.
Wait. What did you do?
I don't know, what did I do?
Where is that?
I don't know, I just took my hand off the fiber optics. What is that?
The all-seeing eye.
Lara, this is a unique object.
Only one of the dials is working. It glows, like the eye, less so. But it seems to be getting brighter. And it's also running backwards. Like it's not so much keeping time, but counting down to something.
Yes.
And look at the back. It's as though it fits into something. Almost like a key. The all-seeing eye.
My darling daughter, I knew you'd figure this out. The clock is the key, Lara. It will unlock the hiding place of 2 pieces of a sacred icon. This is the magical triangle I told you about when you were a little girl. The Triangle of Light. The people of the light built a great city in this crater where they worshipped the triangle for its ability to control time. It gave its possessor a power that could be used for good or great evil. Their abuse of this power led to the destruction of the city. To be sure no man would ever again wield this power, they split the triangle into 2 pieces and hid them at opposite ends of the Earth. Must hurry. You have very little time, and as the planets move into alignment, the world will be in great danger. For the secret society known as the Illuminati, devious, dangerous men who seek to fulfill an ancient prophecy by reuniting the 2 halves and attaining the triangle's awesome and terrible powers. This you must prevent at all costs.
How are you going to get to Cambodia and get the clock back in 15 hours?
I'll be calling in a favor.
What kind of favor?
Well, that is a secret. If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Remember, what we are looking for is hidden not only in space, but also in time. The clock is the key.
Return the iron to the stone's embrace. The wheel of heaven will turn. Exhume the light from its watery grave. To receive the gift of heaven, as you are condemned to the depths of hell.
60 seconds to go. 59, 58, 7, 6, 0.
I guess she was right.
Good evening.
You're with the Illuminati.
There's no such thing. It's just a bedtime story.
Illuminati.
The people of the light. In fact, I now sit exactly where your father sat.
I don't believe you. My father was not with the Illuminati, he would have told me.
He had a great many secrets.
Not from me.
Holy shit.
We will now unite these two parts, the past and the present. At last, we of the Illuminati will control time and fulfill the sacred promise to our ancestors. Soon, the entire world...
Enough of this twaddle.
Daddy.
We can't change time.
But time was stolen from us. And it's not fair.
No, it's not fair. But you have stolen time itself. And you must give it back. You must destroy the triangle.
Suddenly I feel so alone.
You're never alone. I'm with you always, just as I've always been.
that guns are the only reason that mass shootings continue to occur. We are saying that they factor in, and we are demanding that someone repeat the experiment that so many other countries have carried out and simply see if it yields the same results. Enough is enough!
The floating eye here is variously interpreted. Some people see the work of Freemasons in it. Some people just see this as the divine eye of providence. It's a debate for the ages.
This is the moment Japan's nuclear disaster began. A giant tsunami wave crashes into the Fukushima Daiichi power plant.
So I have just one word for Mr. Trump. Basta. Enough!
But a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say enough is enough. What's the meaning of this? You'll find out in 30 years.
Under the Milky Way tonight.
28 days.
Wish I knew what you were
6 hours. 42 minutes. 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
But I want to be president of the United States to make sure that we never again do business. We never again. I went down there and talked to the president of Panama
6
about cleaning up their money.
42 minutes. 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Hellcraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
But I want to be a president of the United States who makes sure that we never again do business. We never again our country. I went down there and talked to the president of Panama about cleaning up the money laundering.
It leads you here, despite your destination. Under the Milky Way tonight.
6 hours.
Wish I knew what you
42 minutes, 12 seconds.
might have known what you would find. Wish I knew what.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
Might have known what you would find. And it's something quite peculiar.
6 hours, 42 minutes,
Something shimmering
12 seconds. That is when the world
It leads you here, despite your destination. Under the Milky Way tonight.
6
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Hellcraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
And it's something quite peculiar.
28 days,
Something shimmering and
6 hours, 42 minutes,
it leads you here,
12 seconds.
despite your
That is when the world will end.
Milky Way tonight. Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might have known what you would find. Wish I knew what you were looking for.
calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
But a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say enough is enough.
Every prophet warned his people about the Antichrist, about Dajjal, the false Messiah. And the prophet Noah warned his people. But I say to you something that none have said before me. The Antichrist sees with one eye, his left eye. He's blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grape. But your Lord is not one-eyed.
For the past year or so, I've been obsessed with the subject of time. It's fascinating to me, especially after researching Saturn and its association with time. So, when I see a story from earlier this year that was reported on by the corporate media and many other outlets about a British man that was supposedly trapped in a deja vu time loop for 8 years, I saw another piece to this time puzzle. From a Live Science article, quote, "The haunting sensation was stronger than just a feeling of familiarity. The man said he felt that every present moment he was reliving the past," end quote. In researching this topic for about a year or so now, I've discovered the significance of the number 8 and its connection to time. I've covered this briefly before, and others covered it more extensively, like Enter the Stars on YouTube. It's no coincidence that 8 is the number for this deja vu time loop that this man allegedly experienced. It's also no coincidence that an hourglass is shaped like an 8. 8 represents the construct of time. That's why 8 is another variation of the Ouroboros, the snake eating itself, which has everything to do with time. And this suspicious story, as I saw it, brought to mind the film Source Code, which features a plot about a deja vu time loop computer program called the Source Code, where a man's consciousness is sent back in time to relive the final 8 minutes, the last 8 minutes in someone else's body, attempting to create an alternate timeline of reality. So we have a time loop that is set to 8 minutes, the final 8 minutes of someone's existence. When you realize the occult significance of 8 and its relation to time, it all begins to make sense. Even some of the film's promo art featured an 8 as the hourglass, because this is exactly what the number 8 is. So, if 8 represents a reality, a construct of time, what happens when there are two 8s, double 8, 88? Well, we now have the convergence of two realities, two worlds colliding. When worlds collide, therefore 88 represents a dimensional rip in space-time, the opening of a portal. This is of course why the Back to the Future DeLorean must go 88 in order to create the tear in the fabric. This is why in another 80s film called Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension features a time travel vehicle called the HB-88. I stumbled upon an episode of the old TV series called Goosebumps, which is based on the extremely popular and controversial Goosebumps book series of children's fiction horror, and these books were shockingly popular, and I of course read them myself. As it turns out, if you do a little research on Goosebumps and its dark history, you'll realize why it was so popular. In the episode called The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, a child travels back in time by turning the head of the cuckoo backwards. In attempting to get back to his original timeline, he accidentally breaks the number 88 off the clock. This year represented the year his younger sister was born, therefore erasing her from existence. Again, you will always see the number 8 playing a critical role in anything relating to time or time travel. This is why in the time travel film Donnie Darko, it takes place in 1988.
Time's going backwards!
Imagination. I think we got a writer on our hands. That'd make a great science fiction story, son. Time going backwards.
Another example is the very esoteric film Cabin in the Woods. We see a scene where someone attempts to escape an enclosed prison matrix reality that has been created for them and have been forced to be trapped in order to be ritually sacrificed to ancient gods called the Ancient Ones. In the scene, he tries to escape by accelerating his bike to reach the other side of the cliff, but dies upon colliding with the outer hexagonal grid shell that keeps them trapped, and sparks fly. This is why the number predominantly featured on his bike is 88. We see the collision of 88.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I'll be with you, Professor.
See you later.
Don't slouch like that. Look happy. Smile. There. The torch is almost over. But then I have to take some more scenery for the magazine.
Tombs are for the dead.
Well, Professor, have you anything exciting to tell me?
Just bits and pieces.
You want to enter, you'll have no company. The excavation was a mistake, the workers say. They believe that old Habnubadar's tomb has a terrible curse on it.
Susie, it's late. Come along. Susie.
Do you want to know how it happened?
I know how it happened.
Okay, Tommy, I take back what I said. You'll be a great major leaguer.
That's pretty. Where'd you buy it, Sue?
It's a very Egyptian design. I got it there.
Susie, is anything the matter?
I don't know. It's a premonition or something. Tonight there's gonna be lightning and thunder.
No, no. Your premonition is just a wild fantasy. It's going to be a lovely evening. Now go and wash your hands.
It's more or less like that, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. What color was the stone?
It was blue, but a very bright blue.
Very little is known about it, except...
Except what?
Except a certain notoriety for tremendous cruelty and utter evil, yes. And now we look at a symbol that I think closely resembles your drawing.
That's it. That's what I saw in the tomb. Do you know what's written on it?
He who could read its message, George, would solve many, many mysteries.
Jamie Lee, I'm famished. When do we eat?
You want to eat?
Me too, Jamie Lee. Thanks. The pictures are dead, defective stock. Got film? Let's try it again.
It's finished. We don't have any more. I'm sorry, guys. And anyhow, I think we better get back to the hacienda.
According to an Arab traveler of the 3rd century, this ancient jewel symbolizes the eye of evil, the negative counterpoint of Aleph, the principle of all being. Numenor. The jewel that appears in this photo was discovered many thousands of years ago and symbolizes evil.
Excuse me, but I don't see what my daughter has to do with this jewel.
Oh, come on, come on. Are you trying to tell us that Susie was grabbed by some unearthly spirit? She's got the evil eye on her and all that stuff?
It's quite possible that your daughter has absorbed the energy radiated by the gem. Your daughter is in great danger. Whatever you do, make sure that your daughter doesn't have the jewel.
Do you think we ought to try calling Mr. Mercado?
It's hard to take him seriously. Better at this point to get back to science.
This gem is endowed with evil powers. A force that has seized your daughter's mind, and that is now using her as a medium for its own dark and wicked malefactions.
What do you mean?
The power within this gem can open the infernal gate of time and space. Give me your hand. We shall journey together to the land of that stone's origin.
What do I have to do?
You have nothing to worry about. Your daughter is redeemed. If you wish to do something for me, throw this into the deepest and darkest part of the river.
Save yourself from hell. Look, if what Dr. Wade tells us is true, this ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows where it's been, what it's seen, and what it's brought back with it from hell.
It folds space so that point A and point B coexist in the same space and time. When the spacecraft passes through the gateway, space returns to normal.
Passageway between our physical world of light and pleasure and their spiritual world of madness and pain. A gate behind which the demons wait with a chance to take back what is theirs!
There's the certain time when these constellations are aligned, when you can open the gate and let the old gods, those are the demons, come through. Well, I checked. And it's like now.
Will you help me? This is my home for 30 years. And I make every payment until the sickness took my eye.
What is it?
Hi, I came to see Sylvia Ganesh. Is she here?
Who are you?
What happened to your eye?
I want you to watch the movie screen. There's something I want to show you. Have you ever seen a portal?